Hi, this is Gary with MACMOST.com. Let's take a look at the new Mail Merge feature in Pages. MACMOST is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 1,000 supporters. Go to MACMOST.com/Patreon. There you could read more about the Patreon campaign, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. So there's a new update to Pages and you can use it to do a mail merge. This was a feature that we had a long time ago in a previous incarnation of Pages and now it's back. Check to make sure you have the latest version of Pages. It's version 12.1, which you can only get if you have macOS Big Sur or newer. Now the simplest way to see this in action is to use a template that uses addresses. So let's go down here to the Envelopes section and I'll choose, say, Classic Envelope. And you can see here you've got your return address and you have the address who you're sending the letter to. And you can use this to print an envelope if your printer can take envelopes. Now of course you could just type what you want in here. That's what you would normally do. But now you can use Mail Merge to print a set of envelopes. To do this you would go to Document on the right and then at the bottom of Document all the way down here in the sidebar is Mail Merge. Click that and now you're going to see Mail Merge options here. You're going to see each field and you'll see them highlighted here. So you can see the green ones match to green. You've got the full name and address right here and you could click one and you can see it indicates which one it is. And then you also have this full name and address for the person that the envelope is addressed to. Now the data for the mail merge can come from one of two places. The first is the Contacts app and the second is a number spreadsheet. So if we're going to do the Contacts app, what you want to do is click Merge right here. Stick with Contacts here on the left. And then you can assign each one of these to a different field in Contacts. You could also choose a group or all of your contacts. I'm going to switch to the Contacts app here and you can see I've got all these contacts and I don't want to send to everybody. But I've created a group called Friends and I've added in the contacts here. You can create groups by going to File, New Group and create it that way and then drag and drop to add into the group there. So I have 4 different contacts and I can check to make sure that they do all indeed have an address right here as the home address. And then of course the name is filled out. So if I select that group here you can see it says 4 records and you can map what you want to each field. So in this case, yeah, for the sender I do want it to use the home address and the full name and that's coming from the Contacts app from the card designated as your card. So this one selected here, if it didn't have that little icon there I could make it my card by going to Card and make this my card. So that's where it gets the sender information from. And then for these I can map them to any field in the Contacts app I want. But in this case it guesses right the first time. And I could preview here and it could show me for each card what it's going to use. So here's the sender name and address and then I could see the first name and address and I could flip through each one and I could check to make sure they all look good. Now to perform the mail merge I simply click Merge here and what it's going to do is it's going to create a new document. So notice I have 2 documents open now. The original one, which is the template, and this new one which actually now has 4 pages or 4 envelopes here. Each one customized with a different address. I could still go in and change something right there. It's all editable. But if I got the addresses right and everything looks good I can now go and print. And there are other templates that work as well. As you can imagine you could go and use letters right here. I'll use Classic Letter. And if I go to Document here, down to the bottom is Mail Merge. And here I've got address and it also includes phone number, email address and all of that from my card there. And then all of these other fields here including the first name there. Even at the bottom it's got the name there at the bottom from the sender. And I could click Merge here, choose Contacts, choose from which group here, it shows 4 records. I can preview each one and see what it's getting. And then I could click Merge and it would merge to create a document with 4 pages now. Each one with a different address right here. You could also go down here to some new templates, cards, and use one of these. So for instance let's go and select this celebration event one and it will load it in. And then when I look under Document, Mail Merge, it'll show me all of the different mail merge fields. So you can see this is kind of a card. It's got this one side here that's got the address information on it. And then it's got email on the first page here and first name and all of that. So it will merge all of these fields together. If I click here, I can adjust which field is used for each thing. Now you can also use a number spreadsheet for the data, which is really handy if you want to use this professionally. If you're a teacher and want to use it with a list of students, or if this is for work and you want to use it with a list of employees or peers, you can just create that list in numbers. So here I've got a name, street, city, state, and zip. I'm going to need to combine all of these, so I'm going to add another column right here and call this address. And I can customize this really well with a formula. I'll use equals to start the formula. I'll start with the street address and then ampersand to concatenate the next piece. Quote. Option return goes to the next line. Close quote. And then an ampersand and then city. And then ampersand with a comma space in the quotes. State. And then ampersand with just a space in the quotes. And then zip. And this will give an address that looks like that. We can expand that a little bit. I'll copy and I'll paste it here. This gives you an idea of some of the work you may need to do in advance to get the spreadsheet ready. You can name this table something, like I've named this one list, and I've named this spreadsheet addresses. So now I've got this spreadsheet right here. Let's go back into Pages and let me go back to the classic envelope here and let's do Document and then Mail Merge. But this time when I click Merge I'm going to switch to Spreadsheet. And I'm going to choose this spreadsheet here. And it will allow me to choose which table I'm using. So if I have multiple tables here. And you can see now it's still going to take my address and name from my contact. But the other name and address, the one for each envelope, that I need to select here. So I'll select the name column and you can see how it pulls the column names from this table. So I'll select name and I'll select address here. Now I can preview and I can see what each one's going to look like and merge. And now you can see I've got an envelope for each name and address in that spreadsheet. Now you don't have to settle for just the templates that are there. You can create your own templates to use with Mail Merge. So I'm going to use a blank document here. Let's go and show the layout here. I'm going to insert right here in this blank document a field to be used for Mail Merge. So we can do that either under Insert, Mail Merge Field, and pick one of these. There's a lot you can pick from. You can also go to Document, to Mail Merge, and then Add Merge Field and do the same thing here. So for instance I could pick full name and add that there, return, and I could pick say address home, add that there. And now I could use those fields to do a mail merge. So I could take this right here, merge, I could pick the spreadsheet, choose that same one, and pick name, pick address, merge, and now I get a very simple document here where every page is just the name and address. I could also put those inside of text boxes or shapes. So I create a text box here. I'll erase what's in there. I'll insert a mail merge field, put full name like that, and now I can do the merge the same way. But now I got something that I can customize and move around. One bug I've noticed is that this does work in both word processing mode and page layout mode. But you need to start and add everything you want while in word processing mode. And then you can switch to page layout. And it will work just fine at that point. But after you switch to page layout, if you add another field, I'll go ahead and add, say, phone right here, it doesn't ever seem to do it. You can see it's not added there. No matter how many times I go back, it doesn't recognize this as a new mail merge field. Probably just a bug that will be fixed at some point. So do everything in word processing mode even if when you're done you want to switch to page layout mode for the final template you're going to use. Now you don't have to use this for just names, addresses, and information about people. You could use it for just about anything, although these fields you insert are always going to refer to things that are about people. But let me show you an example of how you can say make flashcards. So let's go and create a simple flashcard template here. I'm going to add some text. I'm going to make this the question. And let's style it a bit. I'll make it larger, bold, to the right, and center it like that. That's the question. And then you're going to fold a piece of paper over and at the bottom will be the answer like that. Let's go ahead and select question there and insert a mail merge field. And let's just call this first name. And let's select this one and insert a mail merge field and call this last name. And now let's flip this one over. So I'm going to go to Arrange and rotate it 180 degrees. So now you've got something you could use as a flashcard. You can just fold this piece of paper over like that. Now in Numbers I've created this simple spreadsheet with a simple table here with just 8 different facts that can go onto a flashcard. And I've named the columns like this. I've named the table. Now if I go to Document and then Merge, you can see there's first name and last name. We had to use those kinds of names there even though these really have nothing to do with the person's name. And then from Spreadsheet here I can change to select flashcards.numbers. There's only one table. I can set the first name to be the fact, the last name to be the planet, merge, and now you can see I end up with an 8-page document here, each one being a different flashcard taking the data from that number spreadsheet. So you really can use this in all sorts of interesting different ways that don't necessarily apply to people or in fact mail merge. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, click the thumbs up button below to let me know. I publish new tutorials each weekday. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out.